Of the late AmaZulu regent Queen Mantombi Dlamini Zulu took place early this morning. It will be followed by an official provincial memorial in KwaNongoma tomorrow. The late Queen passed away weeks after her husband, the Zulu monarch, was interred and before a successor was appointed. This double tragedy has left the Zulu Kingdom reeling, with disputes around a successor threatening to plunge the nation into further strife. It's the first time, in fact, that a reigning regent has passed away, and this poses a number of challenges for the Zulu nation. So let's unpack it all for you, including some of the issues facing the AmaZulu Royal House. We're joined by Themba Madingiza. He is a lecturer in African languages at the University of Johannesburg. Themba, it's great to have you with us on the show this morning. In fact, I want to begin by reflecting on something one of our reporters who, our team of reporters who are at the palace for us this morning, said this morning. She says, you know, some of the maidens, when they first arrived at Kwakangela yesterday, in the run-up to the Queen's remains arriving at the palace, you know, one of the songs they were singing was, "What have we done? What have the Zulu nation done?" It's a big moment for the Zulu nation, and there are a lot of balls in the air at the moment, aren't there?
Thank you, Michelle, for having me. Good morning to the viewers at home. Yes, it's quite a tragedy, you know, in the Zulu Kingdom, what has happened. It just shows that, you know, the ancestors of, you know, the Zulu Kingdom are not happy, you know, with the current situation, and that's why the Medians were singing such a song. They are lost for words, and this leadership vacuum is really causing the Zulu nation to be left in a limbo.
So what does this all mean? I mean, of course, we're in the midst now of the memorial service of the Queen that will take place tomorrow. There are a lot of organizational things taking place at the moment, but once the dust settles, what happens from then on?
Well, what is now expected is that, you know, we need to know who is going to be the next king, because traditionally, when a king passes on, it is expected that you know, his eldest surviving son from one of his senior wives should be the next king, unless if he abdicates, then one of his brothers will be chosen. Because King Zwelithini was a modern AmaZulu king, his will, you know, which he has left, should indicate the name of the successor. And if maybe the will that doesn't mention the name of the next king, we can only hope that Queen Mantombi left a statement regarding the name of the successor.
Also, the first time that the Queen Regent has passed away during her reign as well.
Yes. This is the first time in the history of the Zulu nation, and we just wonder if they're going to select another regent, which should be a bit more neutral. You know, it would be advisable to choose one of the king's brothers instead of choosing, you know, one of the remaining wives. As we have noted that one of the queens, you know, she's in, there's a court case which is happening, and it wouldn't be advisable to choose one of the queens. So it's likely that if they're not yet ready to choose the next king, maybe they will select one of the king's brothers to act as regent.
And that's, as you say, if indeed the Queen passed away before leaving any instructions. Those are the next steps that will now take place.
Yes, yeah, that's what would be expected. But the best solution at this moment would be really to let the Zulu nation know who is their next king, because if you know, as I mentioned earlier on, the leadership is, you know, is in the vacuum, we will note that some you know, outsiders may exploit the situation, and if even within the family there may be divisions, you know, if it's not yet known who is their next king.
I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? Because in the midst of all of this, the memorial service takes place today. The issues around the king's succession and his will also in the country's courts at the same time. We're in pretty much uncharted waters.
Yes, yeah, it's really a tricky situation, situation, because we'll note that the first wife is also fighting a case, mentioning that she is the official wife, and it feels like she feels that she should have been the regent instead of the great wife. So at this moment, it would be best that a regent is chosen and the court cases, are resolved. And once all that has settled, it would be best to then mention the new Zulu king, because if the king would be to be known now, I think the first wife would, even if she's not happy with that king, she may contest that, and it will not really look good to the Zulu nation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Themba, in terms of resolving these kinds of disputes within the royal family in the country's courts, ideally, is it something that should be resolved within the royal family itself?
Well, because it's quite a traditional issue, it would be best to resolve this issue in the royal courts, and they would, as I mentioned earlier, they would choose a neutral regent, which is, as I mentioned, should be one. Well, in the past, it would be one of the brothers of the late king, and they would have to protect the successor, maybe have him going on exile, and having him return once the situation has calmed down, and coronate him as the king. And I think I read somewhere that a prince publicly announced that the name of the successor was mentioned in the will of the late king Zwelithini. So I think maybe they do know the name of the king, but they're not yet ready to announce it publicly.
So as the palace now prepares for the official memorial of the late regent taking place tomorrow, it comes just weeks after the planting of the king himself. In terms of ceremonial issues and how that will unfold, will it be pretty much the same, or how does it differ from the planting of the king?
It is expected to be pretty much the same, because the queen actually acted as a king to the AmaZulu nation. Maybe it may not be at the level of the king, because you will note that the late king was given a state funeral, which was more national, and with the queen, we note that it's more provincial, and because of the COVID-19 regulations, the cut down, or they've discouraged, many people from going there to the palace to pay their last respect. But we do expect most of the customs practice to be similar to the ones which were done for the king.
Well, Themba Madingiza, Themba Madingiza, thanks very much for your time this morning, helping us understand the rituals that are at play, and of course some of the other tensions within the royal family as well. He is a lecturer in African languages at the University of Johannesburg. The interment of the late AmaZulu regent taking place early this morning. It will now be followed by an official provincial memorial, which will take place in KwaNongoma tomorrow. The Queen granted an official provincial Category 2 funeral, according to our reporter Karinda Jagmohan, who